All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. I know the keynote was wrapping up, but I also want to be very aware of our time and the time of our presenter. So good morning and welcome to the 2019 Free Learning Conference presented by Appalachian State. This is the 11 a.m. session and I'm Emery Maiden. This session is Ready Player One, using game design in creating faculty development. And I'm very pleased to introduce Luis Alvarado-Ramos from the University of Miami. He's the Assistant Director at Distance Learning Initiative at University of Miami. One final reminder, this session is being recorded in Zoom and will be available later on the conference website. And with that, if we're ready, I'll turn it over to you, Luis.
Perfect. I really appreciate that introduction, Emery. Just want to say good day to everybody. I did watch a little bit of the keynote here. I had to transition into the room, but it was fantastic to just kind of synthesize the science of learning. And I definitely learned a bit about how I could take faculty development to the next level. So I did want to start off by introducing my team. We're the Distance Learning Institute at the University of Miami. And really briefly, just because I think it's worth noting, we started off being a really small team. I actually started off with just our associate dean with one more academic educational technologist. And then from there, we grew in numbers and popularity and also the support that we provide for the university. As many instructional designers and people within the online learning field, there's two models in higher education. You can build online programs in-house, and kind of internally build out your team, or you can hire an OPM. Well, at the time when I actually got here, UM was actually in the midst of still dealing with OPM contract. And as you can imagine, some of those contracts are pretty ironclad and last many years. And we sort of came in with the focus of providing an alternative to that model, showing that we could build internal capacity and scale to what the university needs. And we've done that through a multitude of ways. But one critical component, and I feel like it's always essential when it comes to online programs, is faculty development. You know, personally, I came from another university that was much larger as far as its online degrees that it offered. And the way that system functioned was very much where the instructional designer, and some of you might be able to understand where I'm coming from, did pretty much everything. Where you would start off with maybe just a syllabus, and from there, you're expected to build an entire course. And I've done that in my career, where I simply received just a syllabus with some grading details, some details on assignments, and from there, I'm able to build a basic course. Not a very high quality course, but something that is functional. And I always felt in that experience that the element that we were sort of disengaged with was developing faculty members. And this is definitely a tough task, even when you do have support from a provost or a president to sort of train faculty, it can still be difficult. And in large part, this is due because faculty development isn't really a part of tenure. So you can imagine when you're trying to get promoted or become more stable in your career, learning educational technology is really not a part of that. But I think it should be. And I realize that sometimes we have to utilize what's within our control. And what's within our control is making sure that the workshops, the resources that we provide are effective, but also entertaining for the faculty members. It will make them want to engage with the content. So with that being said, just kind of wanted to briefly overview my team. We're growing, we're trying to build that internal capacity. We already support a couple of online programs and trying to transition from that OPM model into the internal capacity. So with that being said, I do have to give a shout out. I don't know if anybody's from UAB, but a main crux of inspiration that we got for gamification for our faculty development actually came from this website at the University of Alabama, Birmingham. They have great information on this website at their Center for Teaching and Learning on their point structure, their certification process. And what's really fantastic about this model is that it's supported right at the top. So it is the expectation that faculty members, when they come in, whether they're new or about to be retrained in online learning, that they have to get certified in order to teach those classes. And I really think that's an important aspect. But some of those things are out of our control, whether we're running a teaching and learning center or we're running an online learning unit. We can't make anything mandatory sometimes. It has to come at the top. But if you are able to get that sort of support, I think that's critical and essential to really making sure that your numbers, as far as who's engaging with your workshops and who's engaging with your team, I really think you'll see that increase substantially once you get that support from the top. So just wanted to give a brief shout out to UAB. They have a fantastic website and really a lot of information on how they break down the point structure. And our particular gamified point structure isn't as, I feel, structured as UAB, but it's a work in progress, right? I think every day we sort of reiterate the process, we get better and better with faculty development, how we engage with them, and what's gonna be purposeful as far as topics. So before we delve into the beginning of the presentation, let me just briefly put up a poll here. Give me 1 second. So if anyone has, they're on their computer or they want to use their phone, if you're on a computer, you just go to pollev.com/Luis Alvarado 675. You can also text Luis Alvarado 675 to 22333. I really just want to gauge with everybody in the room, what are the biggest difficulties that you are encountering when it comes to faculty development? I really want us to kind of get all on the same page and also kind of see that many of us are dealing with similar issues. So again, if you want to use your mobile device, you can text 2233 and text Luis Alvarado 675, or you can go on your computer and go pollev.com/Luis Alvarado 675. And just briefly, write what's the biggest difficulty? What is it? Is it buy-in? Is it attendance? Is it engagement? Are faculty members happy with the development options that you're providing? Things of that nature. Okay, so we have a really big word there with faculty. So I'm assuming that means really just those individuals themselves, as far as probably seeing the worth of what professional development can do for them. Because really, I think our goal, whether we're instructional designers, part of teaching and learning, we're really trying to help them out and increase their impact on the university. So I think it definitely comes down to the people aspect of it. Buy-in, priorities, time. That was a tough aspect in deciding when we should host workshops, how many workshops, how long should the workshops be. Time is definitely a huge element of trying to decide what can be valuable for them. Participation. I want to be honest that our participation is around the 10. As far as our average of workshops is about 10 faculty members, so it's not huge. Our impact is not full scale as of yet, but it's something that we constantly are working on to improve. So that's definitely a problem still for me. I want to get as much participation as possible. And this is great. This is great. Priorities, the group aspect, and then that mandatory. Yeah, when you can talk to the chairs or the deans of the schools, and you can show them the worth of their faculty members going to your particular professional development opportunities, I think that can really increase the participation. In fact, we actually have a meeting coming up with the Dean of College of Arts and Science during their chairs meeting for the semester. And we're going to present our faculty development for the year to them in that domain. And we really think that having them be a part of it and promote it to their faculty below them will really increase the numbers from like I said, we're around 10 on average, and we're looking for 20. We're looking, you know, for a higher impact. You know, maybe even host more sessions because the demand would be so high. That's really the ultimate goal. I'm seeing some fantastic ideas, and as you can see, it's really it's a lot of them are similar, right? Whether you're talking about the time, the faculty themselves as individuals, how do you get the individuals to come? The buy-in from the powers that be at your respective institutions is always an issue. This is fantastic. So I feel like we have enough ideas. I feel like we're all on the same page of kind of the issues that arise when it comes to faculty development. So let me just go ahead and stop sharing for a moment. All right. Now, this presentation is about gamification, but as we know, you know, it could very easily be a gimmick and a trick if that's all you're promoting. If all you do is have badges and points and you're calling it gamification. I think faculty development, in order to be effective, has to come in a package. And for us, that package comes in the form of a faculty resource kit. I'm going to share with you in a moment here. So this is our faculty resource kit. Anytime we get new faculty that are interested in teaching online, we share this particular presentation with them that is interactive, has interactive elements within the presentation to kind of get them started. And this gives you a great overview of kind of how we at the U develop our faculty to teach online. So obviously it starts with some content here. Now, interestingly enough, the state of Florida, I don't know if there's any instructional designers from the state of Florida that work at the public universities or colleges. They're actually mandating that all the online courses have a set quality standard. Now, the University of Miami is a private institution, so it doesn't have to adhere to the Board of Governors' discretion and rules. But that doesn't mean that we don't care about quality. And we realize that we don't want to play catch up with the trends that are happening within our state. We want to make sure that we're providing the same, if not better, quality online learning that the rest of the other state institutions are providing. So we really took this opportunity to help create our own standards. And I know QM is very popular and it's very effective. It really is all encompassing. And I'd be lying if I didn't say that the QM standards greatly influenced our standards. But we wanted it to be personal because every institution is different. And ultimately, our goal in developing these standards were to actually convince faculty members to want to reach these standards and want to get certification as far as the rubric is concerned. One of my biggest difficulties in interacting with faculty members or subject matter experts has been, how do I convince them that these standards, that meeting, you know, each section of this rubric is valuable to them? So being that we're a private institution, we sort of have that freedom. We decide to personalize our standards and create something that is unique to our particular institution, and that will still be easy enough where faculty members will want to do it. And I think key in kind of meeting these standards is that, for the most part, when a faculty member is starting to develop an online course, you take care of a majority of the standards that are necessary by providing them templates. And first and foremost, you know, is the syllabus. It really is a roadmap. And I, like I've mentioned before, I've actually built entire courses by only getting a syllabus. And I've been able to do that. Again, I'm not adhering or promoting that those were good quality courses, but in a crunch, a lot of instructional designers have that capability. And what makes that process easier is having a template for the syllabus, making sure that what is necessary and essential as far as the information for the course is present within that syllabus. But adding to that is a course design template. And this is a really interesting topic as far as online learning is concerned, because there's a balance. right? We want to promote the academic freedom that makes higher education such a wonderful institution. But at the same time, we realize that if there's no template or structure when it comes to online learning, it really becomes difficult for the students to engage with the material in a way that doesn't sort of disengage them, where they don't know where things are, right? I don't know where to take a quiz. I don't know where to submit an assignment. I don't know what module we're on. You really want to avoid those sorts of questions. And interestingly enough, you tend to not have those questions in the face-to-face modality, right? They know what classroom they have to be in. Usually they might get lost in the first week, but after that, once they go to your classroom once, they know where to find you. They know where to ask questions. They might even know where your office hours are and where your office is. So really interesting dynamics. And when it comes to course design template, you still want to leave room for customization, right? Academic freedom is very important. We're not dictating what the subject matter should be. We're just mentioning that it needs to appear in such a structure that it makes it easier for the learner to know what content they need to be engaged with at a particular time. And so we try to make it as easy as possible for our faculty members. This template in particular is pretty much a plug and play situation where they get a Word doc and they can just add content to it. And then we organize it, whether they tell us, put a video here, put a video there. But just to have them understand that there needs to be structure, that they need to have those objectives so that they kind of centralize what needs to be learned for that particular subject or module. Highly important. And again, this particular template takes care of a lot of those standards that I mentioned earlier in the KNEX rubric. So we're making it as easy as possible for them to get that certification and get them excited, because have their course labeled as a KNEX standard course and give them a certification and a digital badge. These are all aspects that we don't necessarily need buy-in or support from the top levels of the institution to implement and do and create. So we have to use what's available within our means to add that carrot on the stick, so to speak. Very important throughout higher education is accessibility. So we want to make sure that they're aware of accessibility. And again, this is a toolkit that they get access to right at the beginning of their interest in teaching online. And so we make sure to include all the aspects that are important within accessibility. And this is an interactive page, so they can click on different aspects of it and be taken to a more robust page that describes that particular topic much more. And now what's interesting about accessibility, and I'm just mentioning this as a trend, it's not actually mentioned here on this page, is that it's also moving to how culturally responsive we are, right? It's not only accessibility for those with disabilities, but accessibility for those adult learners, right? Who have maybe spent so many years away from school. How are we making the learning accessible to them? I think many 18 to 22-year-olds might be familiar with the sort of teacher self method, but some of those adult learners might need to engage with material a little bit differently than those traditional students need to engage, right? Maybe you can't get away with the midterm final template. And I think that also plays into accessibility. How are we creating a course that's accessible to everyone? Maybe they're international, right? With online learning, someone from a different country could potentially sign up for your online degree program. How are you making the content accessible for them? And I'm not meaning translations or, we'll have to keep it in an English dialogue. However, many cultures are collectivists. So they like group work. They like working with others. So the isolation that tends to be the norm in online learning is not effective for them. It's not accessible. So how much variety are we providing in our online learning environments so that we're as accessible to as many people as possible? And just one more note on this that I think we've implemented it a few times, and I think it's so effective, is allowing multiple modes of expression. So oftentimes we've all seen that assignment, whether it's a final paper, the final project, but it has to be turned in a particular way, right? It has to be turned in a particular format. And this sort of emergence of universal design for learning has promoted the idea of allowing the learners to turn in assignments that are meaningful for them, right? As long as they can interpret, maybe they take a photograph and then they explain how that photograph is connected to that assignment, to that final paper or project, or a painting maybe if they want to paint. I think it allows for so much more creativity. And we've briefly talked about Bloom's taxonomy at the keynote. It's that higher level thinking, right? When you're being asked to create something and it's not templated and it's not something that, you have 1,000 words, 5,000 words to write up your understanding of this particular topic. The professor will actually grant you the permission to be creative on how you want to present yourself as being knowledgeable within that particular topic, which I think is highly effective. Again, we have a checklist similar to the rubric that kind of goes through the courses. But what's great about learning management systems, whether you're on Blackboard or Canvas, many of them are having built-in accessibility checkers. So I think that will probably replace the Excel sheets that we have currently. So we're looking forward to add those particular add-ons to our learning management system to make that process easier. And again, as you can see in this presentation, it's interactive as far as what we provide, our services. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, we're in competition against an OPM, right? We're trying to show our provost and other deans that having an internal capacity is not just on par with what an OPM can offer, but it's actually better. Just because we're trying to empower our faculty members. We're not trying to just make a template and make money, right? I think sometimes that gets lost in online learning. We're really trying to collaborate and constantly research tools that are emerging that could be effective within online learning. So this is just an interactive page where they can learn about gamification, adaptive learning, discussion tools that they can utilize. So really a great part of the presentation. Additional resources that we have. So anytime we read interesting articles and want to share it, we use this tool called Padlet to kind of share articles, share things, and our faculty members have access to this in real time. So if they want to add a particular resource, they have the ability to do so. So this is just sort of a constant curated resource list of articles, papers, websites that could be potentially useful for faculty members. And that's important because workshops don't work for everyone, right? Some people engage through faculty development through these means. Maybe they're more introverted or maybe their time is more constrained, like was mentioned in our survey. So we want to provide multiple means of engaging with our faculty development opportunities that allow all types of faculty members to learn from us, even if they're not learning from us in real time. So really, I just thought sharing that faculty toolkit was a great opportunity for you guys to see our sort of methodology and our package, right, when it comes to faculty development. In addition to that, we also want to make it easy for our faculty members to develop an online course. And again, I have to mention this competition, right? A lot of the stuff that we have on our website is sort of to create this dichotomy of why this internal capacity could be better than the OPM model. And part of it is the easy steps that we can take internally to create a new program, whether that be a non-credit certificate or a 4-credit class or a complete degree program. And we really designed this to make it as easy as possible. The steps are as easy as possible for the faculty members to understand what it takes to develop an online course. So just briefly wanted to mention those steps. In addition to the faculty toolkit that I just shared with all of you, we also have a narrative techniques class set where faculty members can sign up to take a class whenever they'd like. This is a part of our website. And particularly this focuses around narrative techniques. And this has been promoted by our associate dean, who has done a lot of research in this regard, of just how we can add personal assignments where, you know, students are still engaging with the subject matter, but they're using their own personal experiences to express themselves. I highlighted this a little bit with those different forms of expression, right? But our faculty members at the University of Miami have the ability to obviously access our website, but more importantly, when they're ready to sign up for how to find out how to use case studies in their online class or create a digital portfolio, they have these classes that they can click on and sign up for. We actually used Articulate Rise 360 to build these courses out. So immediately once they click on that link, they're taken to the course, they're given a quick test, but it's a real-time engagement for them, where if they want to learn more about those particular topics, they can. Oops, my apologies, lost my place. Let me get back. And we're thinking of including more courses as we progress. So potentially a gamification course could be located here. And we're building it with Articulate 360 Rise just because it's easier for people to get into the course. Trying to build a faculty development course in Blackboard can be difficult because then you would have to grant them access, and it could stop. We wanted to provide as much ease of use and engagement as possible. So providing courses in real time is another way that we engage with our faculty members. Now, to get to the actual crux of this presentation, which is the DLI Quest. When I came in, I was tasked with creating workshops for faculty members. At the time, it was decided that I should have workshops every other week for the semester. As you can imagine, it proved very daunting to try to create a 1 hour session every other week for faculty members to attend. Our numbers at the time, as far as participation is concerned, were abysmally low, right? They were like 3 to 4, sometimes even 2 faculty members. And really, I think a lot of that was attributed to the saturation. We were having it so often that faculty members weren't feeling like they needed to go as often. Now, we did record all of our sessions so that faculty members after the fact, whether they attended or didn't attend, could still watch our seminar and still learn something from it. But I quickly realized that maybe we needed the branding, right? Maybe we needed some new branding. Maybe we needed a new way of thinking. And so I really collaborated with my team that I introduced earlier, and we decided what would be a fun name that doesn't have workshop or seminar or, you know, any of the typical jargon that we use in higher education for training. And I wanted it to be a casual environment because from my experience in that first semester, it's that the best part of the sessions were when the faculty members would just gather around and we would start discussing about the topic that we had discussed earlier. And it would be more of a roundtable discussion. And that really inspired us to think of it as an EdTech cafe, as a real casual environment where we do provide lunch and coffee for our faculty members. And we allow them to just casually engage during their lunch hour with a particular topic of the time. So very different from what we were doing earlier. Again, I'm going to stop sharing for a moment so I can get the document that I'd like. So just bear with me one. So that first semester where I was doing sessions every other week, that was the fall 2018 semester. And so very quickly, I realized, give me a second here, that branding matters, that we need to make it something fun, engaging, especially if it's not going to be mandatory for them to attend these sessions, right? We're limited at our powers as far as how we can bring faculty members to these sessions. So let's make it entertaining. Let's make it a casual environment. And we thought EdTech Cafe would be a perfect name because not only are we revolving around the learning management system, which in and of itself is educational technology, but more importantly, we want to introduce new tools and provide a casual forum to discuss the value of those tools. And let me tell you, sometimes those tools are not valuable. right? Or are only valuable within some context. I don't think any one tool is perfect for everyone. I think we have to, as instructional designers, as the EdTech experts, that's our part of the job, to decipher what could be valuable for that faculty member. So as you can see, one of the first sessions that we hosted were on the hidden gems of Blackboard. And this is always our most popular one. And it's very interesting to me because we currently here at the university have a LMS team that offers trainings and workshops, but they have a lot of difficulty trying to get faculty members to attend those workshops and seminars that they have. But interestingly enough, in the beginning of the semester, when we hosted this was our biggest event. It was where we had maybe 15 faculty members come into our sessions and engage and learn some of those tools that are important within Blackboard, which is our learning management system. So I feel like you could replicate this for your respective learning management system. Ready Player One was one of our session names, so it's the name of this particular session. But at that particular EdTech Cafe, we actually had a faculty member who's a game expert in the School of Communication, and he shared with us the value as well as the lack of value that gamification can have, right? We have to have this critical hat on because, adding a point structure or adding badges isn't in and of itself going to make your faculty development effective. It really is the package that comes behind it that brings the value. So interestingly enough, it was a wonderful session and dialogue with that faculty member and other faculty members. And we realized that works. Inviting other faculty members to either host or co-host the sessions increased our volume of participation and interest. Sometimes, unfortunately, I would love to think that faculty members would want to hear me speak and my expertise and respect that and adhere to what I have to say. But there's nothing more effective than a message from a fellow faculty member. And we leveraged that during the spring semester when we relaunched our EdTech Cafe. In addition to relaunching it with a new name and some more interesting sessions that are faculty centered, we decided to add this quest. And this quest revolved on all the different aspects that we have, right? It's not like there's just a couple elements that we introduced during this quest that faculty members can earn points for. But everything I showed before, whether it's incorporating something from that EdTech toolkit, that package that I showed you, or taking one of those narrative techniques classes, or hosting one of these EdTech cafes, all of these actually allow the faculty members to earn points. So I briefly wanted to go over the point structure. And we wanted to brand it. Again, I don't know how corny it is, but I'm a fan of corniness sometimes. If we can't have fun, then what's the point? So we wanted to brand every single level according to the University of Miami. So our mascots and Ibis, for Sebastian is his name. So our various levels kind of deal with Sebastian the Ibis. And as you can see, the point structure is set up so that what is easier to accomplish has lower points, and what's essentially more difficult to accomplish has higher points, right? It's kind of how gaming works sometimes. But we wanted it to be fair. And ultimately, the highest levels of points revolve around our KNX standards, which I showcased earlier, and completing a Blackboard teaching online workshop that we created. And really that's kind of the top goal, is how can we get more faculty members to not just enroll themselves within that teaching online workshop, but then actually complete all of the assignments and get certified to teach online. And remember, I think institutions like UAB and then my alma mater, UCF, they've been really successful at getting their faculty members certified, mostly because of that buy-in from the top. It's mandated by the provost. So we're really trying to create this grassroots effort that allows that to kind of be put on that individual's desk eventually, so that it could be seen as something that should be mandatory in the future. But since it's not, we wanted to create this entertaining element. So we have the point structure here. And interestingly enough, we did have our first member, faculty member, who was able to get a badge in the program. And here's a picture of it. Just want to share it with all of you. And we also gave a nice little goodie bag, right? Everything within our power to make this something worthwhile, we did and we created, and we really wanted it to be special and unique for that person. And this is Dr. Beth Baer was our first award recipient. So we're excited this fall semester with our new programs. I'm gonna share that with you as well. To hopefully crown another champion of the quest. Let me zoom out here, it's a little big. And we have some different topics for this upcoming semester. We're gonna stick with hidden gems, because I'm telling you, I think there's a real need out there for faculty members to understand real basics of learning management systems, whether you're on Blackboard or Canvas. I really think there's gotta be some sort of element of talking about the learning management system in your faculty development. However, I didn't also want to get bogged down on just talking about the LMS, and we wanted to also hit other topics. And as you can see, you might have noticed, I didn't mention it, but in the spring, all our sessions were the same day towards the end of the month. And we realized we were sort of getting the same people, and that makes sense because some people maybe teach classes. And so I would get emails often like, oh, Luis, I'm so sorry, I can't attend because I'm teaching class that day. So for this fall semester, we wanted to provide interchanging days so that we have a different population attending these sessions. So right now from Wednesday, which was how it was in the spring, we wanted to effectively change that to a Wednesday or Thursday, depending on the session. And hopefully that increases number, but also diversifies the attendees that actually show up. So I do want to highlight a couple of topics for the fall 2019 semester. Of particular interest to some individuals might be Magic Leap. I don't know how many are familiar with that particular AR hardware. It's based here in Florida. They recently announced with our School of Engineering a partnership to develop educational programs utilizing their AR technology. And we thought this is something that's happening on campus. It's being published all over. How can we incorporate it within one of our sessions, right? And it's that consistency, right? You want to have that consistent message that's happening in the general university, happening within your sessions. So we actually got in contact with the director of the director of innovation, who actually runs the lab of students and workers who actually are developing AR applications. And we asked him if he would be willing to not only showcase the hardware, but showcase the work that some students, some UM students, but also some full-time workers are developing for education. One of the main programs is within nursing, and really using augmented reality to break apart someone's body and really analyze anatomy. But I think it really is up to instructional designers to take it to the next level, because I think that's probably a more common sense use case for augmented reality. But I think there's some other potential there that could be effective in other topics. And so that's the goal of this session, is also to potentially talk about what could be effective for other topics, for other courses. And maybe some of the faculty members who attend that particular event will have ideas of their own. So that feeds back to the director of innovation some more ideas of what maybe he should have his team work on in the future moving forward. So it's really that symbiotic relationship. Try to find those opportunities within your university to work with other units, really break down those silos, right? And make these sessions much more impactful. Again, we're gonna highlight another interactive tool, H5P, which has a variety of different sort of integrations that you can place within your learning management system through the HTML. If you haven't heard of it, I highly recommend you check out H5P. They have a lot of free options and free interactive tools that you can implement today. The only caveat being that it's made public. So that's the difference between the paid version and the public free version, is that, you know, if you develop something, it will be shared. So make sure you don't share any sensitive test questions or test materials. And the final thing, the final topic for the fall semester before going on that winter break is high impact practices. I got this book it's from Oregon State University. It's a fantastic book, and let me stop sharing so I can showcase the book, High Impact Practices for Online Education. And so Dr. George Koo, developed high impact practices that many of us are familiar with as far as the face-to-face modality is concerned, you know, whether that's service learning, whether that's a first year experience course. But this particular book actually dives into how those practices can be incorporated online. And I really wanted to kind of summarize that semester for our faculty members by highlighting some techniques that they should think about and ponder before they go on that winter break to incorporate it into their online courses. So that is about all that I wanted to share with everyone. I did also want to give an opportunity for anyone to ask any questions or maybe share a story, whether it's a success story or you know, maybe a funny story of how things went wrong. Definitely wanted to provide an opportunity to have this shared forum. So Emery, I don't know if there's anything in the chat, if anybody, maybe someone wants to raise their hand within the chat or something like that to kind of speak and share.
The first question, Luis, is to share the name and author again of the book. Philbo wanted to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's edited by Catherine Linder and Dr. Madison Hayes. Dr. Madison Hayes. It's called High Impact Practices in Online Education. And let me see if I can share a link on the chat. So bear with me.
Sure. Now, I don't know how much it's fair to ask you to multitask, but the second question you got is, are you streaming your professional development sessions?
Yes, yes. And you know, thank you for bringing that up. I apologize. I should have showed the playlist that we have. So just give me a moment here. And to the gentleman who asked about the book, I actually shared the link where you can purchase the book on the chat, in the chat room. So feel free to head over there. Give me a moment, I'm gonna share it now. So we have it linked on our website, the EdTech Cafe sessions. And so all the faculty member has to do is they can go to our website and hit development events and then check out the playlist. So as you can see, we've done over 9 sessions so far as recordings are concerned. And we have it here for the faculty members to check out, engage with. And we're having a pretty healthy number of views. You know, many of the videos have over 100 views. And so I feel like that's still making an impact. Even if we're not getting the numbers in our face-to-face sessions, we're at least getting a good numbers in the virtual world of the recording. And now we've realized we're learning, we're perfecting. As you can see in this playlist, the last session is only 18 minutes. And it's not 18 minutes because the session was only 18 minutes. It's because we realized we need to edit better and cut out the sessions so that they're not having to view an hour-long session completely, but really just get the best of the best highlights. So moving forward, we're making sure that we're gonna stick under that 20-minute time frame for the sessions.
Excellent. I really like some of your ideas about how to promote and how to engage faculty. And one of my comments that I had in the poll everywhere is, you know, we're always trying to figure out motivation for what is pretty much on our campus entirely voluntary. There's no mandatory faculty development stuff anyone has to attend. So then you are kind of playing like, how can we brand this? How can we promote this? How can we make it sound more exciting? So I really like your ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes we have to be put on a stage, right? And figure out how we can be entertaining enough to make people want to come. And word of mouth ultimately helps, right? I think our biggest advocates have been the faculty members who have attended. And that also helps me feel good about myself, right? Because it can be a little disappointing when you have this expectation, right, Emery, of a high number of attendees, but maybe only 10, 5 faculty members come to your session. But man, if those 5 faculty members leave satisfied and leave hungry to learn more, then you were successful, right? It doesn't, as long as we impact one mind, we've made an impact.
Very well said. Very well said. So I know that we're up against the lunch hour, at least here in the Eastern time zone. Does anyone else have any questions before signing off? Lots of very good comments in the chat. Support for what you're doing and all the resources you shared. But if there are any other questions, now is the time to ask.
Yeah, and it's not an exact science, right? I don't share these ideas and say we were hugely successful. So much so that we sometimes have to be experimental and try new things. And when things don't work, we have to be willing to change them and not be stubborn in our ways, because if you have a faculty member who is particularly stubborn and doesn't want to teach online or learn how to teach online, it's going to be really difficult if you are also stubborn and your way of engaging them with faculty development and you do not want to meet them where they are. Someone has to be flexible in that dynamic, and it usually has to be us.
So the next question that you got from Philbo is, do you see those faculty with the most buy-in leading the way with other faculty outside of your sessions, maybe departmental heads in particular?
That's a fantastic question. And it's very interesting that the consistent population of faculty members that we do get at our sessions are some of those faculty chairs. One of our biggest advocates is Assistant Dean and Director of the Religious Studies program here at the university. And so it seems like the leadership gets it, right? They know that these are techniques and these are sessions that could really give them a lot of value. Ultimately, we're helping them in their careers because whether they move to another university or build their career here at the University of Miami, they're going to be engaging with digital education, right? We're not going to do less digital education in the future, right? It's only going to increase, and the complexity is only going to increase. So we want to try to well prepare them. That's a fantastic point. We have a lot of chairs, a lot of department heads that end up attending our sessions the most religiously, so to speak, and hopefully that trickles down.
Very good. Very good.
And I see a question on the department heads in particular. I mentioned the religious studies program, geography, and also the business school have been some of our biggest leadership wins so far in this program.
All right. Well, Luis, thank you again so much for your time and your willingness to come in here this morning and share with us. As I said, it looks like you're doing some great stuff down in the U of M's DLI. It's going to take me a while just to look through the playlist and all the stuff that you have on the webpage, but that's some great information. To all the participants, we are recording this, and we're going to strive to have the recording on the conference website by the end of the week. If someone wants to reach out and get in touch with you, Luis, is there a way you'd like to have them, or if they want to follow the DLI on YouTube or something like that, what would you recommend for getting in touch with you?
Yeah, I would ask them to check out our website and my contact info. My email's there. For those, I'm going to write down my email for those who want to get in contact directly here, and I'm going to share it on the chat here for everyone. And feel free to get in contact with me if you have any questions or want to collaborate together to set something similar at your particular institution. I'd be happy to do that, right? We're sort of all in this together in this field, and I think collaboratively we can really be more effective.
All right. With that, I'll wish everyone a great day.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.